nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Clerk, do we have a quorum present? All right, excellent. Even though we have not provided notice for a public hearing tonight, we do have one of our area's elected officials, Mr. Josh Bonner. He has come to just introduce himself to council and to speak to us, so I will turn it over to him if you're ready.
Well, certainly, I did not prepare any speech, but good evening. I appreciate the invitation, Mayor Cole and the council, to come introduce myself. As y'all are aware, we recently went through some redistricting at the state level to redo the boundaries for our state house and our state senate districts. And so the district that I represent now will shift over to include Sharpsburg and parts of unincorporated Coweta County all the way to Noonan, all the way to Interstate 85. So I appreciate the opportunity to come introduce myself. I live over in Fayette County in the city of Fayetteville, just in between Fayetteville and Brooks. Grew up there, went to Fayette County High School, then off to University of Georgia. Got an ROTC scholarship, went off active duty Army for a while, then came back home and worked for family real estate business. We do property management here on the south side of town. We manage commercial properties, do all the leasing and brokerage that goes along with that. And then I continue in the Army Reserves, coming up on 25 years in October. So 4 kids, 2 in college, 2 still at home. So a lot of mouths to feed. And so I know some of y'all can appreciate that. But just happy to be here. Look forward to hopefully representing this area. I've been in the legislature for going on 6 years now. And I think I've built up a good record since being there. I represented Sonoy here in Coweta County. So Coweta is no stranger to me. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here and available for any questions that you might have.
Who was a representative for the redistricting?
So prior to the redistricting, Philip Singleton represented this area, and we'll continue to do so until the end of the election in November. But this election cycle is when those districts go into effect. So, for instance, if you were to go to the My Voter page, or in this, as your constituents would, probably ask. If you go to the My Voter page now and enter in your information, it's going to reflect the new districts. So it's going to tell those folks where their new precinct is if it has changed.
What drove that?
What drove which?
The redistricting.
The census. We are obligated to do that every. So in Georgia, all of the state house and state senate districts must be of equal or approximate population. And so since we did the census, we had to adjust those boundaries. So now, for instance, a state house district represents approximately 60,000 people, whereas before it was somewhere around 52.
This is pretty much a routine thing every 10 years.
Every 10 years, yes, sir. Nothing's routine at the Capitol, as you can imagine. It was as if it never happened before. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
They don't expand the number, do they? They just expand the size of it.
That's correct. The only thing that would potentially expand based on the population is our congressional delegation. And Georgia did not grow to the point where we could add one more delegation member. So, some states lost a congressional district. Some grew. Georgia stayed the same. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. While we are in the vein of introductions, I do want to take a second to introduce Chad Adams. He is Sharpsburg's newest and the first in public works employee in recent memory. So this is Chad Adams. He joins us. Let's go ahead and applaud right there.
Thank you.
Chad?
Yeah.
Chad, you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Was raised locally. I say locally. Originally Hurd County. Then moved to Noonan. Early 2000s. I'm a father of 2 under 2. I'm a small business owner. basically I've been in the world of fixing things that were broken and keeping things working my entire life. So hopefully that my skill set will be able to be adapted into the needs of the town. So I'm here basically on call 24/7. If anything was to go wrong, my phone rings. If I can't fix it within an hour, it'll be fixed within 24. I can guarantee you that. So.
You want to give us an update on a couple of things that you've been able to do this week and for a little bit of last week?
Yeah. So basically over the last week, and really today was a heavy hit on, I guess you could say, the administration side of things. Trying to find a good work order platform, or just a way of people sending me work orders so I know what needs to be done, what's pressing. There's a few electrical issues out in our pavilion out here that I took care of. I'm trying to think.
Arbor Valley.
Arbor Valley had a breaker that was faulty. I had to go in there and replace that, so there was no risk of electrical fire. So they're trying to keep them as happy as we can.
Nice.
To the extent of planning, I think there's more than y'all would allow me time to speak about. Been kind of running wide open. Ideas have been flying. It's just one of those we want to keep the town pretty, make it prettier if we can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. The introductions being done, we'll move on to the first item on the agenda, which is to review and or approve the minutes of our meeting from January 10th. If y'all will flip to the appropriate page.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All right, so Elizabeth has the first, Stan has the second, and once everybody is finished reading. Any questions or comments on the minutes? All right, all in favor? All right, for Tom was absent, so unanimous, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a yearly task for us to do, which is to discuss appointing a mayor pro tem. Elizabeth is our current mayor pro tem, and I haven't had a chance to pick your brains much on it. Are you want to stay mayor pro tem, or do you want to ask for? Okay. So Elizabeth is willing and wants to stay as mayor pro tem. Do we have any other discussion on the mayor pro tem?
You said yearly, I thought it was longer than that.
I thought so too.
I don't remember us doing it every year.
No, and correct, and we haven't. And this is something that was it Brad that brought it to our
Yes,
attention?
he
That
did.
says it needs to be done yearly?
Okay.
He did not say yearly, but it was my understanding it's based on the election. Elizabeth having won the election last year.
Oh, okay, so my apologies. It was not a yearly requirement. It was because she is newly elected, or not newly elected, but she was reelected to the post.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, okay.
So she gets nominated, she's good for another 4
Mhm.
years.
If I can get a motion.
Well, you got it.
For, well, there goes one, Stan.
Second. Second.
Tom has the second. All in favor?
Do I vote?
I guess
Sure.
unanimous. All right, thank you. First item under old business is our Growlers ordinance. This was the ordinance that we had brought to you guys talking about, Ryan's store with Dixie Dogs adding Growlers to the, to his shop. In talking with Brad, it is considered a packaged form of liquor because they're going to fill it up, seal it, and then it's going to become a package. And so it requires an addition to our alcohol code, and then we have to vote on it as an ordinance. We kept the price to the same package price as the convenience store pays, which is $300, Floyd.
Yes, sir, it's on page 2 at the bottom.
Okay, so the package for the price for these package sales is consistent with what we are charging others for package sales. Now, in the convenience stores world, it's a 6-pack or a 12-pack or a case. In Brian's world, the package is a 32-ounce or 64-ounce growler, whichever size we've got in here. Not to exceed 64, I think is what it says.
64 or 32?
It's either 64 or 32.
That's right, it says not to exceed 64,
Okay.
I'm going back.
and at least 32.
At least, okay, so
Makes a growler.
it's in between the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if somebody else has got a package license already, they wanna come in and do this, so they gotta do a growler license in addition to their
Yeah.
package?
Yes, sir.
Even though this is a package?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so this is our second reading. It just, and the reason that we wanted to add it is some of the success that he had following the 150th. He had a couple of kegs of our beer up there, and we got to talking about it. He said, you know, if I could do growlers, I could do a whole wall of growlers and have, you know, 15,
Offer
20.
something different. Yeah.
And I think that's really going to benefit him once 12 Parks gets built out, because then it'll just be right there, right at their doorstep.
Make a motion, we accept it.
I'll second.
Stan has the first. Elizabeth has the second. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. January 2022 budget report. We got a little bit and we spent even less. Seems to be the long and short of it. We're at 12% of budget received, and we've only paid out 6% of the budget. I mean, we're really too early into it. I will say that depending on what all Chad finds, we may come back or start talking with you guys as far as the repairs and maintenance budgets. I will have a better sense next month and or the month after that how much he will end up spending. It won't be a tremendous amount over the 10,000. I would hope it's not more than 10, much more over the 10,000 that we've got for the small repairs. We may come to you for some larger projects that are, you know, like maybe repainting in here or something like that. But that 10,000 should cover most of the small catch-up repairs that we're doing. One of the things that hopefully we will talk about in our work sessions is more of the capital plans, and we can plan stuff out. But that will be, I'll cover a little bit more of that in my mayor's updates. But January budget, you know, it is what it is. We hadn't got far into it, and not much really to look at. Not much to look at.
I see a couple things that we might need to adjust.
Like what?
Building permits,
Up or down?
might need to bump it upward. Projecting 2,000. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry.
No,
I
you're
was
right.
looking at it wrong.
Yeah, no, well.
It's probably on track.
Okay. Now, of course, this, I will tell you though, now that you're talking about it like that, this does not include any projection from those 11 lots that we rezoned that are going to be part of Scarborough's thing right there on McIntosh Trail.
Right.
That is not factored into this. So if those break ground this year and start getting built this year, we'll blow past that, because that'll be.
What is that?
The building permits.
Well, what's the 11 lots?
Oh, I'm so sorry. So right at that very edge of town, there is a parcel that had like 0.76 of an acre inside of Sharpsburg, the way that the city limits did like that. And based on the developer's plans that were signed with the development agreement with Coweta County, 11 lots fit within Sharpsburg city limits. So we have jurisdiction over those 11 lots. Because this was a 95 units, development, we went ahead and signed an IGA with Coweta County that said you can, well, you know what, they're permitting them, so we're not gonna get any money off of it.
Right.
Okay, so never mind. So they are gonna be permitting and handling all that because we looked at it as, okay, if we've got limited staff and limited capacity to do that, we'll go ahead and sign the agreement with the county for them to manage the entire development, including the 11 lots. That doesn't take any authority away for taxation for us or property tax once it gets built in. It just makes the permitting and inspection process a little bit easier, and that way they didn't have to go through.
Yeah.
This is that oops from 12 Parks?
Yes, sir. Yep. But yeah, I'd love it if the building permits
Yeah.
blew out of the water. That'd be great, because the way that we have it set up, we're not losing anything on the inspections or the fee schedule.
Right. That's good.
All right, any other questions on the
Yeah,
budget? Yes,
I
sir.
understand we ended up with several $1,000s more than we budgeted for last year. How you gonna stick that in this?
So that is actually included in the general fund balance. The overages from last year, it just rolled into the general fund. We just basically put it in our savings bank.
Okay, so it's not on the sheet right here.
No, sir, it's not, but we can print you one out and show.
That's all right.
Okay, that or it will be in your email as part of the December agenda packet.
What was it, 22,000, 23,000?
I don't want to quote it off the top of my head, but
Am I
it was,
close?
yes, sir, you were.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it was a much bigger swing when you took in our amount over income, which was 112%,
Right about, but again, I don't want to.
and then we were at 89% on expenses.
Is there any restrictions on what you can spend that money on?
Not
Okay.
that stuff, no, sir.
Okay, so it's, the way y'all did it is, it's not from
It's not from
cost or
anywhere.
anything like that?
No, sir. No, all of that is separate. Do I have any comments from the public? No? Would you like to say something, Cynthia?
I just want to introduce myself to Alex and tell him
Hey.
congratulations.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Also, as y'all know, this is Black History Month, and a lot of people have the knowledge that Cynthia Pike was the first black lady, woman, to be elected to Sharpsburg City Council. And I just want to bring it to attention. I didn't want to take away from the 150th anniversary. I've been doing it for 4 years, but I didn't want to take away because it's a lot of history still. And so I figured, well, I'm coming to introduce myself to Alex. Somebody would bring it up.
Yeah.
Got my kids
Yeah.
and a lot of people from Sonoy where I grew up at. They're proud of me. They talk about it all the time. And
Should be.
just want to let y'all know I was the first black.
Yeah.
And
Very
my
good.
kids are very proud of me.
And since you're here, we of course said it several times over the last couple of months, but thank you for your service. Thank you for the work that you've done, and thank you for being a good council member. I enjoyed talking with you. We had a lot of fun, and we did some good work.
Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge Miss Polly, but she didn't show up because I heard Joe. I wouldn't have never done it. I would have won the election just like Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I mean, she came to us. She was like, "Hey, we need help," and I'm like, "I like helping. I do whatever I can."
Yeah.
Without them, I would have never done it. So just want to give good kudos out to them.
Yeah. So thank you
Yes,
very much.
thank you.
Mr. Clerk, do you have any minutes for us?
Well, actually, there are several things. First of all, with regard to the public comments, talking about Ms. Polly. She came in earlier today saying she would not be able to be here, but she wanted me to bring up a couple of items to council. Part one, she wanted me to bring up about the speeders still speeding on Highway 54 and asking that we reduce the speed limit down to 35 miles per hour. Her argument is that other places and jurisdictions have been able to do so, and this has been a long time request for her. The other is she said that it's good that the sheriff's deputies have moved away from the church and are at some other location, but she wants them to do more.
The church is Sharpsburg Baptist Church?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
yes. And then the third is that she wanted me to talk about the frustration she experienced when somebody honked the horn at her when she was turning onto Main Street. So I have considered that I have passed the word. She also wanted to know an update on the roundabout at 16 and 54. So I have that as well. And then on my side of the equation, I had a person who came in today. They are looking to put a microblading and permanent cosmetics business into place here in the town at 150 Main Street in the upstairs, right above Keith Prater's office. I'm looking at zoning. I do have some questions about it. Blue and I have discussed it already.
It's a what, microblading?
Microblading and permanent cosmetics.
Oh, and permanent cosmetic.
And so it's going to really come down to, is this tattooing body art? Is it not body art? There are some questions, and I was actually hopeful that we would have Brad here to ask him, but I wanted to at least bring it up that has come up. And if you want to talk about it.
We're just gonna take a look at it. I mean, you can say, is it a tattoo shop or is it a beauty shop? And we'll look at it, see what they have to say, and just make a determination. And we'll run it through Brad.
Yeah, we should invite them.
Update.
Invite the owner to come to the next meeting. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, we need to do that. I've got a friend that does that, or a girl I know that does that, and she's not considered a tattoo artist.
Right, that's kind of what I was thinking.
And what location are they looking at?
It's gonna be in the brick house where Keith Prater is, right
across from the photo
across from
studio.
the photography.
Right, and also what makes it an interesting situation is if it is considered tattooing, it may not be in our zoning, may or may not. So
Yeah.
there's just hair on this particular request, and that's where we're having to figure out what this is before we can move forward with it.
What is microblading?
It's,
Yeah, I don't know.
Skin abrasion?
no, it's basically where they tattoo eyebrows and like shape them, and it's like all the rage. I mean, I would have it done if my tattoos weren't, if my eyebrows weren't,
Tattoo.
no. Okay.
If they weren't thick and luxurious.
But it's really popular.
Yeah, oh, no, I know several people. I just don't know that I would want to get my eyebrows tattooed.
Well,
What if
it's not
it
permanent.
changes? Oh.
This is not permanent. I mean, I think people get it done like every 8 to 10 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, what do I know about tattooing eyebrows? Nothing really, but I was looking it up today a little bit, and I think it said it has a shelf life of about 18. I saw something like 18 months.
Okay.
But it does. But it's not going to be something that you would have like
Right, it
3 years
fades
from now.
away. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I thought it was too permanent.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really what's sort of on the immediate radar. There are a lot of things moving on in that office that I won't bore you with all the details, but we've got a lot going on.
Julie is at clerk's training this week. She's down Jekyll Island doing training down there. As far as 16 and 54, to answer Miss Polly's question, about 6 weeks ago, I heard they were negotiating for the final piece of right-of-way. Once they do that, then they can move on to the construction phase. So they're still 30, 60, 90 days from starting the new roundabout. Ms. Polly had also asked about the radar sign. Now that we have Chad with us, we'll be looking at different places to do it. But just to remind council, we had talked about 154 up here on the path coming down towards the hill in Tarrentine. Are y'all still okay with that, or do you want me to look back at 54 near Main Street?
You talking about the speed limit?
No, sir, the radar sign. Remember how we were going to put the radar sign up?
What's the radar sign?
I think
Speed
we should,
check
move
by
it back
detection
and forth.
devices.
Yeah.
What, it flashes your speed? as you
It
go by?
does.
And it records it.
And it reports it. And it will give us traffic data
Yeah.
that we could pull off. That'll give us the average speed, the number of trips. And it's just an enforcement tool, enforcement reminder.
You're talking about putting it 154 in Tarrentine?
Right
In
down
front
from
of that?
154 in Tarrentine, there's a speed limit pole that I think DOT will let us put it on.
Okay.
And
The one where it goes to 35.
yes, sir. Right before it gets to the run up to that hill.
This is off subject, but didn't we one time discuss maybe shaving that hill down? Is that a possibility still?
It is, and that will be part of a discussion that I have with DOT. I'm still trying to get a meeting with them to talk about.
Even like a mirror, like that you can see, because you can't see if you're turning onto 154 from Tarrentine, you cannot see till somebody's literally right there. And if they're going fast, you better press the gas quick.
Yeah.
It's hard to see right there. The way
It's
it
so
comes
hard
back
to
in at
see,
that
yeah.
angle.
And they have a couple of fixes that are options for us. We need to just coordinate with them and bring one to council and let us figure out which one is going to work best for us. And the good thing about it is, with it being a small road off of the main highway, I'm hoping that DOT will work that into their standing budget, and we can just do it for a minor amount at the town's expense.
The speed limit, I think the way people treat it is just a suggestion. I don't think it's
Oh yeah,
gonna-
absolutely. And honestly, it is hard to stay at 35 coming down that
I
stretch.
know when
Unless,
I come down this way from the high school,
yeah.
I start slowing down and make people slow down behind me.
I also had someone call me today about the intersection of 16 and Old 16 at the bridge, where it comes and wraps around. They just, people are turning in and out, and they've asked what we can do about that. So
That's not in the city
Yeah,
though.
that's
no,
not in
no,
city
it's
limits.
not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But I would still bring it up to DOT to put it on their radar.
As far as changing the speed limits, that's gotta go through DOT though, right?
Yes, sir.
For the
it will.
state highway.
That's almost all going to be DOT right there.
While you're at it, you may as well hit 16.
Might as well.
What is it over there? Is it 55 or
It's
45?
It's 45 coming past our house, and then it goes up. It's advisory 45. I think it's 55 is the actual speed limit, but it's an advisory speed limit through our section of 16 right there. And then it goes back up to 55, I think, when you get past Main Street and on up towards Old 16. And when the school buses stack up there, that's the thing the caller was telling me. He said, when I see all those school buses and they start to make that slow turn to the left, he said, I see it. Somebody's just going to come up behind one of them one day and tee them up, and it'll probably happen.
So I feel about 54 and Christopher Road. People stop right there, turn, and somebody's gonna.
Yeah, that's the place.
Yeah.
And I guess Polly's question about the speed limit on 54, that's a DOT.
Absolutely, and we've put in that request 2 times prior to this one, and of course I'll follow this one up with another email.
Isn't it already 35 out there? It's not.
I think it's either
45?
45 or 50.
I think it's 45.
I think it's
45.
45. Is it 45?
Front of Polly's house back down to the turn to the roundabout, it's 45.
Okay.
Did they ever get back to us the times that you reached out?
No, they did, and
Oh.
they said that the traffic study supports keeping it where it is,
Okay.
just with the traffic volume.
Okay.
But part of the conversation with them is going to be, what improvements can we make on 54 in Sharpsburg for us to either make it more attractive, slow down the traffic, or make sure that the businesses have the turns and access that they need. Because if people are just flying through town and there's nothing to slow them down or stop them, they're not going to stop and spend any money.
Right.
So if we can do something to stop them and get them here, or slow them down first off, and then give them something to stop at.
Put a toll booth out there.
You know, so I think we might need some help from the legislature to do that one. So
Is that even legal?
I wonder who we could, but no, that would be one option to slow them down.
I just don't want to have a situation where nothing happens until somebody gets killed. And that's what usually happens.
You're right.
You know, from my
We slowed them down through here, so. I guess it's
Exactly.
an option.
You think Georgia DOT would be cool with some speed bumps up there?
I would rather not ask
just
that question.
kidding.
But
What you can do is you can put a crosswalk up there and hire high school kids to walk across it every 15 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
People have to stop.
that state law says.
That's right.
Any other minutes,
No, sir.
Mr. Clerk? Oh, all right. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Oh, no.
But I was just thinking, have we ever thought about asking the owner of that property with Tarantine and 154 to buy some of their property and cut it bush back?
Yes, and Miss Lynn is open to selling the town some right of way or gifting some right of way. We've had that conversation with her. I've just never had any specific proposal from DOT to say, okay, we're going to need 12 feet, narrowing down to whatever. But no, Miss Beckham has agreed previously that she would help us straighten that out.
Well, the last time, when you
Let's
and
do
I were
it.
in Thompson, Thomaston,
Yes, sir.
they wanted to put a 90-degree intersection.
Right.
There as opposed to a curve.
Well, one of the suggestions they had was to move the stop line 14 feet to the east, which
Down the hill.
down the hill, yes, sir, which would square it up, but they said by moving it that way, you'd have a further sight line. What they would do, I don't know what they would do to support that right-hand turn to square it up. I don't know, but you're right. That is one of the proposals that they had, and it's just a 14-foot shift to the east, so you can see around that
We
corner.
just need that, I think we just need that corner, take down those trees and shave down that hill somehow.
That was one of the things that they looked at, but because of they would have to go so far onto her property and cut it back. I think that was part of the concern, because the slope would have to go back well beyond the right of way to keep it from being,
Right.
like that.
Cliff, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can always make it no left turn.
Yeah.
That solves it all with a $45 sign.
If we make no left turn, but that still doesn't slow down, or
I
that
can't
still
get
doesn't give a better eyeball.
Would that have to be approved
Then I
by
gotta go all the way
DOT
home.
also?
I know, that doesn't work for me.
We're gonna drop the
Pain.
speed limit.
Because
Big
you know,
old
on Louisville, we're going to
circle
the
for me.
conference
It
center,
doesn't
just
work
go
for
in
me,
there.
because then we gotta wait
It
on
says no
traffic to
turn
get
here, but people
out,
still do.
just to turn.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah. What were y'all?
No, I was telling them that's
She's
not a good
bargaining.
idea. Then I'm gonna have to wait on traffic to turn on 54 and make a left, no.
Or we can just buy some stand property.
It's for sale.
And build a.
Take away the, just go turn right.
Are we seeing, are we seeing a lot of accidents in all these places?
Yes and no. Over the years, there have been some. No, I know of at least one fatal accident right there at 154 and Tarrantine. I don't think recently there have been any serious accidents, but
I think we
it's
cut,
just a matter of
we
time.
cut down on our cut throughers with the speed bumps, so that's
Mhm. You know, I
limited
didn't
traffic.
think about that. You're absolutely right. We
Yeah.
put in the speed bumps about
Right.
a year or so ago, and you're right. I think that has probably cut it back.
Yeah, I mean, the only people I see using it are people that live, you know,
What you're
So-
looking at is a huge increase in cars from 12 cars.
Right.
Build that out,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
the traffic coming up that hill that you cannot see now is
Mm-hmm.
gonna increase dramatically, going back up towards the high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a concern right there.
So all of these topics will be included in the conversation with DOT. And just to get a sense of where they are and where they are to plan it. And then if I know where they're gonna plan it, then I can come to you guys with some budget projections and capital planning and all that other good stuff that we'll need to figure it out down the road. But the planning starts now, you know, so that's where we are with it. Any other information from the clerk's minutes?
Actually, there was something I did recall from February 21, it's your first workshop meeting, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So that's
Work
gonna be the
session,
first.
February 21st at 6, and I'm gonna have some information on that for you guys tonight to look at.
I won't be here, it's my daughter's birthday.
Okay. Oh, congratulations.
Oh,
Well, it's okay. I'll be flying back in, so I may come straight from the airport and come right here.
Okay.
So I will be with you in spirit, I guess. So one of the things that I did roll over, and my apologies, is the polling of council. So I'm gonna start down there at the far end. Mr. Stanley, do you have anything? Mr. Edge?
What is the update on our parking lot? I heard breaking ground in January, and here we are in February.
Yes, and it's gonna be a little bit further. It's gonna be early spring before they can get out here.
And that's the county.
The county, yes, sir. The county and our IGA, they are providing labor and materials at their cost. They just have a lot of projects, and unfortunately, the schedule got kicked out 3 to 4 more months. They said if they can do some stuff in piecemeal, they will. But I will say that the date that I got was late last week. So I'm gonna give it a day or so and then reach back out and see if anything has changed. They are aware of our schedule and the schedule that we have here with Team Hungry and all this stuff. And they'll work with us just as much as they can. It's just a matter of when the men and machines are gonna be available
Right.
or over here. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it has taken a little bit longer than we wanted to, and there have been a couple of delays. I don't know if the delays could have been avoided, just because it's a medium priority, and because of
Sure.
the construction boom and other factors, but I'm ready to get it done. I want to see it finished. I want to see it polished off and finished up, but.
Yeah, of course. So we're not very high on their priority list then.
Well, no, I will say no, we are. But when it comes down to finishing a roundabout or clearing up a skew, you know, we are
Gotcha.
behind those.
Gotcha.
So, I understand.
Okay.
Mr. Teagle.
Can you give us some sort of idea of what your ground rules are with Chad? You're not gonna have the public talking to him, are you?
If they run into him and ask him for something, the expectation is that he will be professional and provide the best service that he can. Anything, Chad has a lot of common sense, and anything beyond his scope, I feel that he would pause and stop. As far as money limits and repairs, $25 I think is the maximum, just like any other staff. I mean, we haven't addressed it in depth, but I expect some interaction with public.
Well, how do you wanna get information, requests or suggestions to him? Through you? Through the clerk?
Through town hall. It can either be
Okay.
through Julie or through clerk. It's by no means does it just have to solely go through me. Oh, no, you guys are more than welcome to reach out and email them yourselves if you see something. Absolutely, no.
Well, I don't think there'll be any surprises.
No, there won't be.
Yeah, I just
No.
wondered how you're gonna handle it internally, so you don't have 10 people talking to him.
That's why we're going with the work orders, so that way we have
Okay.
a ticketed system that we're gonna be able to track, and we'll know who put it in, when it came in. I trust him. If there's a thing that he thinks needs to jump to the top of the list, he'll come to us and say it, and, you know, we'll.
I was kinda out of the loop for about a month, but, what about emergencies? Is he gonna be able to put out, blocked road signs or things of that nature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If that's the case, we need some phone numbers.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know we've had, in the last 2 years, we've had a couple instances where we could have had somebody else besides me and you slunking those drums around. No, really.
No, you're right. No. Yes, sir. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got a few cones, a few yards of tape, and a couple of big drums. And we block things off every now and then. Not planned like Team Hungry, but just tree across the road.
Wires
things like
on the
that,
road.
wires across the road, that kind of thing. All right. Okay. I'm happy.
Madam Good?
Nothing.
Do I have any questions from the public or from visitors wanting to ask about any of their polls or questions or anything? Excellent. Pass that down. So what I'm passing you guys down is some information that I would like for you to have at hand when we talk during our work session. Our work session on the 21st, I would like to cover 3 topics briefly to just get a general direction. This by no means is a final decision. Any decisions that we make will come in an actual council meeting. The work session is just for us to talk it through and ask questions and take what feedback we desire. But the 3 things that I want us to talk about are projected uses for the Beckham property, what we want to spend our LMIG, which is the Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant from DOT. We're going to have about 20 grand for that. And then what other capital works projects do you guys see or do you want to have? And some of the stuff that I have in front of you the Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant. This is what I foresee using to pay for the Beckham property renovation, because no matter what we do in there, we're gonna have to upgrade it and make it accessible and make it safe and all that. So I think we can get a loan or a grant to pay for that. The Local Mileage Improvement Grant, our LMIG program, is what I have been kind of pigeonholing to pay for sidewalks. Now that we have the parking lot coming up, if you guys agree, we can do some sidewalks along the street from the middle of the park down to the Beckham's property. And I'll have more maps and stuff for you guys to see, but it'll go along Main Street in front of the Beckham house and connect to the street side, connect to the sidewalk up there. Or we can put the sidewalks wherever y'all want to. Or you can look at the LMIG document, and it tells you all the allowable uses that we can use it for. Like I said, we're gonna have about 20,000 in total, 15 to 20,000, and that includes about 30% match by the town. We have FY 2019, 20, 21, and we just got approved for 22. And so it's roughly, and we've spent some of 19 already. So I'm thinking we'll have about 20 grand to spend on these bulleted items under number 1. Or what we could possibly do, depending on the conversation with DOT, is take the LMIG money that we've been awarded, then petition the state for a larger chunk of unused LMIG money, and then roll that into a larger DOT project like Main and Tarrentine, or I'm sorry, like 154 and Tarrentine, or Main and 54, or whatever council or the public desires or wishes. But I just need a direction and an approach from you guys to say, go that way and do it. Because if I just kind of know a general direction, I can go and get you guys a lot more specific information, a lot more specific figures. So the work session in 2 weeks is going to be for capital planning. I need some direction on the Beckham property, need some direction on how y'all want to spend LMIG money, and then from there, what other capital improvements should we be looking at and should we be doing, and how quickly do you want to proceed? Because there is and will be a lot of money coming down the pipe over the next handful of years, and if we have 2 or 3 projects in place to go for them, then it's just going to be, we have that much greater of a chance of doing it, of being successful.
So your number 3 was other projects?
I'm sorry?
Your number 3 was other projects?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Rep Minor, if you have anything to add on any of the state dollars that may be coming down, or grant program that you've heard of, please feel free to step in. It's a broad question, but I know everybody's talking about the infrastructure up there.
I bring my checkbook with me.
See, I knew I forgot to tell you something.
Well, what I would recommend is at whatever point that you've got a priority, that we take that and we sit down with the DOT and see what's available either through the normal budget process or through any available grants.
Okay.
They'll be there and start applying for those.
Okay. And I think for the DOT, having our Coweta delegation at the table to help us, because they have quick response projects, which are usually small projects, less than $250,000, that they can program into the ongoing budget, and they can do small things like turn lanes or acceleration lanes, stuff like that. And, we'll just call on the delegation at that point. Another thing, through the day job, I had some conversations with GEFA, the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority, and they have money that's available for towns at low interest rates and or go convert to a grant that we could use for some of the sewer projects. So one of the things that I would probably suggest we come up with in our capital planning is 1 or 2 sewer projects and or feasibility studies that council authorizes, and then I can go out and chase them down. And then if we know we are okay with getting a grant for the 54 North sewer line or 54 South and get a sewer line there, I kind of know which projects to begin preparing, because I'd have to get some watershed information and flow information and some stuff that I'd need to take to GFA. But if I know council's preference, I can go ahead and start stacking that stuff up and finding what I need before we have to put in the application, because it's probably going to be a 3 to 6 month process to apply for the grant or the loan that hopefully we can convert to a grant.
I need to get with you and get back up to speed on where we are with some of this stuff.
Sure.
Because I owe you an answer from Joe,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get together whenever you're ready. Additional things. We got our census information back, and our numbers, our population numbers are down. 316 is the number that I was told. I can see that if we not everybody got counted, and with a couple of the move-outs and losses that we've had over the last couple of years, I can see 316, but I wish we hadn't lost those. That was about 10% of our population. We were at 351, 354. Now we're down.
I don't think that many people have moved.
I don't think so either. I think that people just didn't respond. I just and we pushed some things out, but then you had the pandemic, and everybody's numbers seem to be down. That and some are down by like 2/3. They had several 1,500 people cities that showed 500. Wow. And clerks and mayors were just panicking because a lot of our SPOS revenue is dictated by population, and they were real nervous that it was going to start impacting them. But they recognized that there were counting issues there. Here, I think people just didn't respond, unfortunately. Because the only two duplexes the only houses that I knew were empty this year that weren't empty last year was that 2-person duplex right there at the corner of 154 and Tarrentine. There's a 2-unit stone block house right there. That one was empty. Gordy's house was empty, which is the one that Carrington bought. And then I think there was only 3 empty houses that we had during the census. It had to have been people not getting counted. Because we just haven't, even the fire that we had was after the census period happened. So to me, it just seems like people just didn't raise their hand to be counted, which is a shame. But, given it was a pandemic and whatever, I can see that. But
That's a lesson learned.
Mm-hmm. Speak up louder and wave your sign higher. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
They had grand plans for getting people to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID put a chomp into that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it absolutely did.
I mean, they were enthusiastic about it. I went to a couple of meetings. I went to a meeting up in the county, and they were ready to roll.
Mm-hmm. And then it just hit a wall.
And I never saw anything.
Mm-mm. I didn't either. So that's disappointing, but we'll just keep working. That's all we can do. I am going to be ordering some street signs. We need to get some of the 12,000 pound 6 wheels or more, because all those have started to fade, and I've seen a few trucks coming through here. The last price that I got on it was about $490 something. If it is over the 500, I'll reach out to you guys and let y'all know, but just so that you're aware it's coming. We've got to replace 1 or 2 street signs, and then I want to talk with DOT about if we can put up a sign that says use your blinker up here on, where it says watch out for left turn.
Yeah.
I just want to put a sign that says use your blinker right up underneath
I'd love to ride around with that sign on my car.
Yeah, just as an advisory sign.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So you're coming down 16,
Yeah.
and you take the left on Main Street.
Yeah.
We've got a sign up above the thing that says left turn, watch for left turn or something
Right,
like
okay.
that. And up underneath that, I want to have a yellow and black advisory sign that says use your blinker. So people, when they're making a left-hand turn, they'll put their blinker on. Will it work? I don't know, but
You'll be noticed.
it'll be noticed. So those are the signs. That'll be a request probably on next month's agenda.
That's one of the places where we talked to DOT about putting a left-hand turn lane.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
short. It was interesting, because you showed them a picture of where it was, and there you can see a rut going down where a truck had gone off the road.
That was great. I've
I mean,
never
it was
had.
A huge rut.
And
wasn't just a
it was
little rut.
real
It was a
obvious. He
rut.
goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah." So yeah, that was one of the candidates for a quick response
Oh my gosh,
project.
I was coming down church the other day, and an Amazon truck was coming. I was going to and I was like, oh my gosh, please. I kind of tried to pull over because going over the railroad tracks, he was like inches from the side, and I'm like, no, please don't do that. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
He made it.
And he had no idea. Like, he's just driving. I'm like, I'm sure when he passed me, my face was like white. I'm like, yeah.
I hate to hear that, because it was probably full of our stuff.
They just dropped it off. They just dropped stuff off at our house.
Oh, okay.
By the way, you have a package on your porch.
I know. Thank you.
You got to tell the story about your daughter?
Oh gosh.
What'd she do? How much did she order? Let me ask that question.
She ordered $800 worth of stuff on Amazon, like collector item. Who even knew you can get collector toys on Amazon? But apparently you can. And we came home from school and the whole front porch was covered in boxes. I'm like, that's interesting. I don't remember ordering anything. And I'm stepping over the boxes and they all say my name, and I'm like, oh gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
Children.
She's like, it was an accident. I was like, how did you accidentally buy $800 worth of stuff? And she's like, I just hit proceed to check out. I'm like,
The best part is that they told the little sister not to touch them, and she opened them and started playing with all of them. So Christmas came early.
yeah, hid the boxes underneath her bed.
Last thing that I've got is I'm going to ask the county when they are out doing a road condition review to do the town, so I can give you guys an update on the condition of our roads and how long it's going to have to be before we fix them. We probably have another 5 to 7 years left on the roads if we don't do anything, but if we do a few things now, we'll get probably 10 to 12. And then that'll kick the full depth reclamation down the road, maybe 10 years, if we can get that far. So, do I have any questions from council over any of the topics that we've covered? Any questions from the public or attendees on any topics that we've covered? All right, that being done, no executive session coming before council. If I can get a motion to adjourn. Motion. Second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Stan.